Good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live here at the Breyer Group Stadium. The O's are back here in E10 and looking to continue their fine home form as we take on Matt Gray's Sutton United. And I'm delighted to be joined by Brendan Pitcher and Orient's Director of Football, Martin Ling. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, boys. And first of all, Martin, a fantastic opportunity today to continue our fine home form.
Yeah, we've been really good here. We've been really good all season, but we've been particularly good here. Too many draws of the season as a whole, but the home form, apart from the Harrogate game, it's been really good. And today's another opportunity to get that win and get us amongst that top 7 where we want to be.
Absolutely, and you're touching on the draws there, and unfortunately last week was a draw, Brendan, but it was a game where the O's looked so in control and somehow only came to the point. It was quite deflating, but hopefully a chance to get back to the winning ways this afternoon.
Yeah, immediately it's frustrating to have switched off twice and not to have picked up the 3 points there, but I'm sure reflecting on it and reviewing it like Kenny and the team will have done over the week, you look at the performance and 9 times out of 10 you win that game if you put in that level of performance. So it's just about replicating that level of performance and then not switching off in those 2 moments like we did, and hopefully that'll improve and that hopefully we pick up a win today. Absolutely,
and looking at the fixture, it's a familiar opponent from our National League days, Martin. We remember some memorable fixtures against Sutton, and we know what they can do and the problems they can cause, and it's not an easy fixture on paper considering they've recently been promoted to the league. No,
they're doing particularly well. I mean, if you said to them and offered them the position they're in, first season up where they are, I think they would snap your hands off. It was always tough games when we played them in the National League, and they're a well-drilled, organised team that have got a set way of playing. Still off the back of the success from last year, they've carried that through. And they will be tough today. They tend to be a rigid 4-4-2, but they're very, very workmanlike. You're gonna have to match that first before hopefully our expansive play can then take the game away from them.
Absolutely. Well, as Martin said, the O's do have a tough game on their hands today, and let's take a look at the starting 11 that Kenny has opted for as we aim for those 3 points. In goal for the O's, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. At right back, number 2, Tom James. 8 as he after that fantastic goal against Rochdale last week, Craig Clay. Number 9, Harry Smith. 10, Dan Kemp. 11, Theo Archibald. 15, Alex Mitchell. 16, Aaron Drinnan looks to continue his fine scoring form. Number 19, and wearing the armband today, Omar Beckles. Number 25, Shad Oji. And 26, Hector Cipriano. And on the subs bench for the O's this afternoon, Reece Byrne, Connor Wood, Dan Happy, Adam Thompson, Paul Smith, Darren Prattley and Ruel Soterio. So the O's are unchanged this afternoon following last week's draw at Rochdale. The one notable one in there, we've obviously seen Adam Thompson return from his long injury recently, which has been great to see, Martin, but also Paul Smith as well. He's had a lot of niggles throughout this season. I bet you must be hoping that he can get out on the pitch and show what he can do.
Yeah, every time Paul's had, we look at him and he's had a decent game, then he seems to pick up an injury, and I think the same this time. He come off after the Charlton game. We was all delighted about how well he'd done and thought now he's part of that 18-man squad and he'd be really pushing the front too. And obviously picking up a broken toe was very frustrating. There was some worry that the toe might need an operation. That wasn't the case, and he didn't make last Saturday, but he trained Thursday, Friday, taking a bit of painkiller to do that, but he's back amongst it now, and I think he's going to be a massive component between now and the end of the season, because I think he's that little bit different than what we've got naturally up front. He's a little bit more nippy, he's quicker, and he's also very sharp when he's carrying the ball. So I think that could be a good component for us to have between now and the end of the season.
Absolutely, he's obviously a great option to have on the bench. But Brendan, are you surprised that the starting 11's unchanged? It was a good performance on the whole last week.
Yeah, I think the big standout is obviously Darren Prattley on the bench for the second week in a row. That's a big statement from Kenny because he is the captain, but arguably you look at the performance from Saturday and you look, there's not that much that needs changing. It was just, like I've mentioned before, 2 sloppy moments, and if you cut that out then it's a very good victory for us. So I think that's what Kenny will be focusing on, and that's why he's picked an unchanged lineup today.
And it is Craig Clay and of course Hector Cipriano that are keeping Darren out of the side. But let's focus on Craig Clay. He's nearing 200 games for the O's. He's got a promotion under his belt. He scored a Gerrard-esque goal last week. He's something of an O's legend now, Martin, and he's been doing absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, look, Craig's been with us, throughout. He was one of our very, very early signings, one of the players that we've brought into the club that's still in the first team now. And there's been many a times where people have looked at it and maybe thought they can try and replace him. And Craig knows that in his own mind that he's good enough to get in this team, and he shows that week in, week out. You know, if his passing was a little bit better, he wouldn't be playing at our level. But you know what you get with Craig when he's on the bench or he ain't in the team, he don't sulk. He's one of them people that show the manager he wants to play, and he's got to be playing well. And Hector Cipriano, Darren Pratley has been left out for the last 2 games, and he is our captain. But I think we also have to put into our mind that Darren's coming up to 37 soon. And I think it's a case of Kenny giving Darren a rest more than anything. But, you know, Craig and Hector have got that shirt at the moment, and he's going to have to fight to get that back, which is, as a director of football, that's perfect for me. For the manager as well, he likes to have good competition for places.
And looking at the unchanged side, Martin, there's very few changes week by week, maybe a change here or there that Kenny goes for. But do you think that continuous lineup is a sign of a team that's recently been put together and is starting to click and to gel, and there's not much change happening now?
No, Kenny's set. You know, he's played with about with a couple of systems. He's now gone on to the 3-5-2 system. You know, for the fullbacks going very high in terms of James and Archibald, and he's now got players that are fighting for that shirt, but. I mean, we've been but recently we've had a massive injuries or suspensions where you've had to change it too much. But people know exactly what they've got to do. Kenny sets it up, the game plan out in the week as good as anyone I've seen do it. You know, he's an experienced manager, so they know what they've got to do. And he ain't going to go. He ain't got to tear out. We've lost 2 games all season, and we all know there's too many draws. But we've lost 2 games. I'm talking here, coming into December. So. We're very, very close to being, I think, a really, really good side. At this time, we're a good side, but obviously we've got to change them draws into wins to get where I really do believe we've got a real chance of the promotion this year with the squad we've got. You know, we've also got January. If we want to top it up a little bit in January, we might, and Kenny wants to, do that, then I'm sure if I turn to the board and ask, we'll probably get an affirmative yes.
Absolutely, and we know that goals win games that you talk about. We want to do, obviously, and we've got goals in this side. It's no surprise that Kenny's opted with Drennan and Smith again. We know what Smith offers, and Drennan's on fire, Brendan.
Yeah, I think they complement each other quite well, because Harry Smith's one of those players where you always go look to him as a big target man, but sometimes if he's got a smaller man, maybe someone who doesn't have the physical presence of someone like Aaron Drennan, then it's too much for Harry Smith. It's all on him, whereas Drennan takes it off of him a little bit. He can run in behind, but he can also hold the ball up and gives us a different option. And at the minute, Aaron Drennan is massively in form. He looks like any time he's through on goal, you expect him to hit the back of the net, and that must be a great feeling for him at the minute. And they're working really well in partnership. And I think, like we said, with an unchanged team, Kenny seems like he's found something here where he can stick with, and you build these partnerships with people like Aaron Drennan and Harry Smith, and hopefully the longer they play together, the better it will get.
And of course, Aaron Drennan ran out as the hat-trick hero as we beat Hartlepool last time here in E10. And if you missed it in the week, the O's youth team ran out 6-1 winners against Newport County Youth in the FA Youth Cup. And we face Chelsea in the next round away, so keep your eyes peeled for details on that fixture. And that was a really great night, Martin. Some of the goals scored, some of the talent that was on display. They're in good shape, the youth side.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the bigger picture. It ain't all about the FA Youth Cup for me, but I look at the scholarship boys as they are now. We've got 17 of them in the building, and it's the best group we've had since I've been back, and that's down to all the hard work that's gone into the youth team. But I was probably more impressed when we went to Leverhead in the first round, and in a very difficult game showed grit and determination. I went to watch them this morning, and they've won again this morning. There's a good vibe around that place at the moment. They'll be excited beyond belief to be playing Chelsea. But for me, it's about within that group of players, how many of them are going to be here next year as professional footballers. So I look at it like that. And as I said earlier when I just commented, is that it's the best group I've seen. We are improving year on year, and we sold an awful lot in the first 2 years out of the academy because we didn't know who was going to have an academy. So that's another part of this club that's in a very healthy state at the moment, and to be playing Chelsea in the third round is a good reward for the boys. And I'm looking forward to myself to go over there and see how we fare. It was going to be difficult, we all know that, but I think they're a very good unit, and they will I think they will compete with Chelsea. I really do.
And we've just seen the highlights from Tuesday night's game, and some of the goals that were scored. The likes of Jeffy Tanga and Dan and Krumer were fantastic in the goals and the assists. They're knocking on the first team as well. There's some real excitement in there.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the first team squad this year, and I think there's 11 players that have come through the system, through the academy system, that are amongst our squad. You know, and to keep them numbers up, you've got to keep producing. I always say to Brian and Alex and the youth, it fetch me 2 a year is the standard I set. Now that may be one year, 3 another year, might be 4 some years, but all I want to do is there's raw talent in the East London area that we keep finding it and we keep moving it through into our first team, because as I say, if you look at, I think we was the 6th highest in the country last year of actual academy players on terms of minutes on the pitch. And that for me is immense for us moving forward as a football club.
Absolutely. And looking at the more recent crop that have been coming through, the likes of Anthony Papadopoulos and Matt Young, Jaden Sweeney, they've all had minutes this season, and they're contributing to the first team and coming through, and it's imminent excitement as well in that regard.
Yeah, and people have got to understand is by having plenty of academy players within it, it allows you to spend a bit higher at the top. People don't put it into the thing that what money that saves you, because obviously they come through the system, so they're on not the best money to start with, and then they get moved on to better money, and that allows you to have better players and a better squad. So it ain't just about the 11 players that are within the 26, it's about what it allows you to do with the other 15 players. So why we continue to create players through our academy is better for this football club all round.
Absolutely, and of course again, congratulations to the under 18s on that fantastic victory this morning against Cambridge, and it was a late Dan and Krumer goal that sealed that win. So do keep your eyes peeled for any future academy fixtures as well, and support the boys when you can. But now let's turn our attention back to this afternoon's fixture as we take a look now at the Sutton United starting 11. In goal for Sutton, number 1, Dean Buzanis. Number 5, Ben Goodliff. Number 6, Louis John. Number 7, David Ajaboy. Number 11, Will Randall. Captain number 15, Craig Eastman. Number 16, Isaac Oluwafe. Number 22, Joe Kizzy. 24, Rob Milsom. 26, Richie Bennett. And 29, Alistair Smith. And on the subs bench for Sutton this afternoon, Brad House, John Barden, Ben Wyatt, Kenny Davies, Omar Bugiel, Ricky Corboa and Donovan Wilson. And we've touched on it already, Brendan, but Sutton really are defying the odds this season. They're a place above us, and I don't think any Sutton United fan would have thought that before a ball was kicked this season.
No, I think you've got to look at Matt Gray and the job he's doing there, and it's fantastic because he was the assistant under Paul Doswell, and when they're in the National League, they were very good side, and I think they relished playing against sides like Orient and spoiling the party a little bit, but they weren't quite consistent enough to be a top National League side, and Matt Gray kind of evolved that, and the way they're playing now in League Two, they've taken to league football like a duck to water, and they're so impressive at the minute. They're fully deserving of being where they are in the league. It's not a fluke, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're a top half League Two side come the end of the season.
And looking at them, Martin, I believe they play a 4-4-2 system. They're very solid, hard to beat, they're gritty, we know what they're about. What do you expect from them today, though, coming here?
Yeah, every time we have them scouted or our analysts look at their clips and looks at them playing, the word hard working is they're running more than anybody. Now, is that the back of last season? They say they're coming to, people in that Sutton side probably can't believe the places they're going to on a week-to-week basis. So they have like cup finals. They come to Leyton Orient today, and it'll feel like a cup final for them, for where they've come from, and that helps you to really put that extra effort in. And then, as I said earlier on, we're going to have to match them physically and on the running stats, because I think we've got better players, but your better players only start to show up if you can match them two stats. And I say every time we've had them watched, Steve Foster's watched them a lot, and he said that they're the most hard-working team he's seen this season. So that's what you expect.
Absolutely. And then how do the O's combat that today? Then they're obviously not going to give the likes of Dan Kemp much time on the ball, and he's crucial to us clicking in attack. How do we combat that, as well as matching them up physically? Yeah,
I mean, I think physically we can match them. I think we've got a team that physically can match them. It's just about moving, as you say, moving the ball into our players that can create a quicker thing. I'm just interested with Brendan saying about Harry Smith. Kenny's been working on, we've been talking about it. I think we started to look to him too quickly previously. It was always the ball, sometimes a defender, it's a cop out. You look for Harry Smith because you can lump it up to Harry. Harry's better than that. He can fetch it in his body area, and we need to get it to other people's feet. And if Dan Kemp's moving into the hole, we've got to find Drinnan's feet. So it's something that Kenny's been working about. We was coming a little bit too reliant on him, and by Drinnan going there, you've got to play it in a different way. And the lads are evolving that when I watch them in training.
For sure, and as Martin just alluded to there, the O's will need to be extremely physical today to battle with Sutton United, and one player that will be key to that is the Orient centre-back Alex Mitchell. We caught up with him earlier in the week, and let's hear his thoughts ahead of today's game.
Well, Alex, after a 2-2 draw at Rochdale last week, what's the mood been in the camp?
Yeah, after the game on Saturday, obviously a bit disappointed not to get all 3 points. Very disappointed in the way we conceded the last goal, but I think it was a positive performance. We played very well against a very dominant possession team, so obviously good positives from there for our pressing, off the ball sort of stuff, and I thought on the ball we were very good as well. So obviously disheartened not to get all 3 points, but the mood in training this week's been very positive and just looking forward to Saturday.
Gaffer said as well, it's not really like us, the kind of goals we conceded. Did you have a bit of a chat as a defensive unit about kind of those goals?
Yeah, we actually sat down on Tuesday and went over the whole of last month's analysis of chances against, and we've worked on a couple of stuff. We've obviously the goal was really disappointing last minute, last couple of minutes. But we've looked at it, and hopefully stuff like that don't happen again. Yeah, no, they're really good. I've got obviously a Millwall boy, Isaac Alafe there. That would be a really good challenge. He's a good player, but I think they've got quite a few good players, to be fair to him.
In terms of Isaac, what do you think his strengths are?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, fantastic guy as well. Very humble, very down to earth. I actually sat pretty much next to him in the changing room at the start of the season, when we were both at Mill, and he'd help me out, he'd give me chats. He's a real humble guy, but his strengths are he's very fast. I think he's very good 1v1 presser. He's got a good finish on him, so it'd be a very good challenge. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure there'll be no love lost Saturday. Both teams going for the 3 points, and I'm sure it'll be a very good game. Yeah,
of course, it'll be a very good game. I feel like we but we've been a bit unlucky with how we haven't got the 3 points in most games. I feel it's been a bit a hard watch sometimes for the fans, because it feels tough playing it when the goal's just not going in. But I feel like obviously Hartlepool last game, everything we're touching we're going in, so hopefully that luck and that we earn our luck, but hopefully that goes into Saturday.
We'll just finish on the last one. You touched on the fans there. They've been brilliant at home this season, and contributed to a really good home record. I think the 4th best home record in the league, and no doubt we'll need them spurring us on again on Saturday.
Oh, the fans are crucial. They really get us going. My favourite bit is when we start walking out and you just hear the roar, and it just gets you going. It gives you goosebumps, and it's what you play for, really. It's what you grow up wanting, to play in front of thousands of people, and it's a real privilege to do that.
Top stuff there from Alex Mitchell. And Martin, he is a loanee from Millwall, obviously, but he's come in, he's a young lad, but he's made that centre-back position his own, and the fans have taken to him just as well also. Yeah,
he's been excellent for us, to be fair. He's a bit of a throwback in terms of he's very dominant in the air, likes to tackle. He's a very, very good defender. Again, Kenny's been working on trying to make him a bit better on the ball, which is something that he's going to have to put into his game if he wants to go and play in the Championship. But for us, he's been, as a 19-year-old lad, he's been done Bromley and done well there. He's come into us and held that space all the time. So I think he's been an excellent signing so far.
Absolutely, and he's one of many additions in the summer, from the backroom staff to the players. It's all clicking now, and we've had about a third of the season go past. How do you feel it's all settling in?
Yeah, it's always a little bit worrying when you change so many players, staff. You don't know how it's all going to fit in. But the good thing about it, you had a very experienced person coming in Kenny that's gelled it all together, and there seems to be an unbelievable atmosphere in amongst the players. The loanees or the players that are signed here. Winning breeds a good atmosphere as well. So, if we continue to do as we're doing, and maybe, and I said before, a little bit better to get where we want to go, then I think the atmosphere will just grow.
And we started so well, and we had that kind of little run of draws in the middle a few weeks ago. Do you think it's gone under the radar a little bit with the fans that kind of we have overhauled completely a new squad, pretty much a new backroom staff, and it's going to take time to gel?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really get involved in what the fans think. You know, if I stand here and say to them that the club's in its best place it's been in the 4.5 years I've been here. Well, I just said that about the youth, and I think the first team is in that position as well. I'm not saying that for effect. I'm saying that I believe it to be true. So, maybe expectation levels of just because Kenny's managed to higher up, don't give you any divine right to go there. You've got to work hard and do well in the league that you're in. So we know we've got an excellent manager, but he's building that team, and you've got to give it a little bit of time. I think we have done really, really well. Frustrating in points, too many draws, as I said, and from games similar to last Saturday that we feel that we should have won. And if you'd have given us 2 more wins instead of 2 draws, everyone's saying about we're a definite promotion side, but we're in the mix of being in and around it come the end of the season. I do believe that.
And just touching on that, obviously I know we've touched on it in terms of changes on the playing side. It's been a complete overhaul from the backroom stuff. And how have you found that working with a new set of people and obviously going for that promotion ambition that you've touched on already?
Yeah, look, for me it's a fact-finding exercise how different people work for what they as a director of football you'll always be guided by what the people want, what Kenny wants, or and everyone that I've worked with has had a different personality. I believe in my job the most important thing I've got to have is people skills, so under our people how they click and how they get the best out of them. So yeah, but I suppose the one relaxing thing is with Kenny, with the experience he's got, I can come away from the training ground knowing it's in good hands, and Kenny's working closely with a director of football at this level, which is probably strange to him, but we get on fine. We do parts of the job that I've always done, but the training ground's in good hands, and when I go over there, I don't go over there and think, we could be doing this better, why are we not doing that? It's like, it's under control, we know what we're doing. You've got Kenny and Joe, Matt Harold and the rest of the staff doing the job.
Well, it is so great to see all the changes settling in and taking effect. But there are no changes this afternoon as the O's are unchanged from last week's draw against Rochdale. And let's remind ourselves of the starting 11, kickoffs just over 5 minutes away. So in goal for the O's this afternoon, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Number 2, Tom James. Number 8, Craig Clay. 9, Harry Smith. 10, Dan Kemp. 11, Theo Archibald. 15, Alex Mitchell. 16, Aaron Drynan. 19 and captain this afternoon, Omar Beckles. 25, Shad Oji. And 26, Hector Cipriano. And on the subs bench, Reece Byrne, Connor Wood, Dan Happy, Adam Thompson, Paul Smith, Darren Pratley, Andrew L. Sotirio. And just considering we've spoken about the O's graduates from the academy already, Martin, let's look at Shad Oji and Hector Cipriano. Shad went out on loan last year, Hector had his breakthrough season. They're both really putting their own stamp on this side. Yeah,
different routes, isn't it? Hector went out when he was really young and got some experience quickly. With Shad, we just felt last year and the year before the best way for Shad was to play men's football. He's come back this year. And different managers looks at different things. Some of the other managers had previously wasn't massive fans of Shadrach Oji. Kenny come in and said, I think he's got everything that you need. And the confidence that gives Shad, he's took it on. Hector, I really think that Hector's going to be a top player. But for the one thing, and I say it to Hector to his face, so I'm not saying anything different, is that he needs to add stats behind his game, i.e. he needs to start to create goals and score goals. If you're playing as number 8 through your career, you've got to be able to add that to it. So he's got everything, but that's the side of it he needs to be improving, in my opinion. And if he wants to go to the top that we all believe he does, or he can, should I say, then that's the type of stuff that he's got to improve on.
Absolutely, and looking at the subs bench as well in isolation, Brendan, this is probably the strongest it's looked all season with Paul Smith and Adam Thompson returning. There's some real options on there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you talk about some of the players on the bench like Paul Smith, Adam Thompson, top players for the level, and when they get fully fit, they're going to be banging on Kenny's door asking why they're not starting, because they're players who got pedigree. They've played in higher divisions for the last few years, so they're going to be massive. And then you look at the other options, people like Raul Sotirio, who every time he's come off the bench this season he's looked really good. So there's a lot of different options today for Kenny if, say, you get to the last 20 or 30 minutes and we need something extra off the bench.
And looking at that left back position, Theo Archibald's made that his own as well. He started there for the last 3 or 4 games. How do you feel he's been doing? And it is good. He can offer that attack and defence.
Yeah, I think it gives us a nice balance in there because, like you say, he can go forward and he's getting better all the time with his defending. I think that's the thing, obviously, you're going to want to work on with him because naturally he's not a left wing back. But like I said earlier about kind of naming the same team and being consistent, all of these players are going to get better and know their roles better and develop partnerships. And it seems like it can only improve from there.
And we touched earlier about players today needing to have that quality on the ball to break Sutton down. And looking on the opposite side to Theo is Tom James. He's been phenomenal this season. He'll be key to us going forward and defending as well.
Yeah, look, let's be honest about it. The role of fullback is changed. I just watched Chelsea in the game before, and their 2 fullbacks, James and Chilwell, were their most forward-thinking players. So it's a changed role. Tom James does both sides naturally, both going forward and go back. Theo does one side of it naturally. He's very happy to go forward. He's got to, again, if we're talking about bits that he can work on, I think he was at fault for the first goal last week. If I'm honest, if you had a natural left back in there, would probably stop it. But you've got to sometimes take the rough with the smooth for what they give you going the other way. And most fullbacks are going to be judged going forward, not defending.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Martin. The players are making their way out onto the pitch here at the Brodrick Stadium, and it's time to pass over to Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. Come on, you O's.
Cheers, Jake. Well, the last 4 meetings between these two sides were eventful, especially the most recent at Gander Green Lane. Who will ever forget that penalty from Macaulay Bonne that set Justin Edinburgh's men on their way? Sutton are now the league new boys, and they have done it in style thus far. Matt Gray, who goes over to applaud the travelling fans on the far side ahead of this game, has done an absolutely astonishing job. But I'm sure if you ask him, he'll say that the target remains 50 points as soon as possible. I think the expectations are higher on Leyton Orient's manager Kenny Jackett, and he keeps an unchanged side, Matt Hiscock.
Yeah, no surprise with that. I think, as I say, last weekend Kenny Jackett would have been happy with the majority of the performance.